And yeah, I would just add to what Nico said. I think some way on a buy side, data aggregation is the theme, and aggregating either different types of data families or from different sources. So obviously we have, composite transaction feeds, real time. You can add post-trade and inform your pre-trade analytics, let's say, with the post-trade feed at various degrees of frequency refresh. We've seen in corporates fundamental data applied more and more to uncover, let's say, similarities between different issuers or similar bonds, similar risk type comparisons. Obviously, dealer access, dealer type of data, I think difficulty when it comes to aggregation is how do you streamline it so that it can feed a model you're running in an effective way. So it's more of an operational challenge there. Say in general, the aggregation part and doing that at scale and speed, so that you have kind of a pre-trade, post-trade application that it's, enabling either a reporting or actually execution service is a challenge. And we can talk about now technological implementation or consideration how we can get there. But that aggregation is the theme. Yeah, we think about data basically delivering some kind of client value. And I think in buy-side trade execution use case, we're talking about, value in terms of speed, coverage, and precision that the model needs to deliver. So more data we aggregate from different sources, different types, obviously we will have more coverage. And then on the precision front, the approach for us at least was to apply risk models as well as kind of traditional pricing models and do model training that goes into the recent history for some optimizations, and especially here applying artificial intelligence optimizations was necessary given how many disparate data pairs and types we have across, let's say, different venues. I've mentioned transaction data, composites, post-trade, settlement layer, let's say, proprietary that was shared with the desk by, Excel sheets or non-traditional channels. So the AI layer there helps pick up the correlations that perhaps the traditional quant or an approach with a model that was on a desk traditionally wouldn't be picking up. So I'd say, it's kind of combination of technology that delivers. In some ways it comes back to the beginning of this conversation. What data do I have? What connectivities are currently, on the desk, and how can I harness the power of data that I have? The real-time data aggregation would require, mapping that kind of master service that can then be used post-trade, pre-trade, needs to be scalable and operate at speed. So I agree with what was said, hiring more technologists that can deliver the model either custom, in-house or perhaps partnering with vendors. Overbond specializes in delivering custom models, kind of client-side, single tenant. From there, it depends if it's a pre-trade or post-trade application. If I focus maybe on a pre-trade, how do I sequence, chunk, order, route? We can draw some examples in equity world, and services of that nature that have been existent for, a number of years. It's been harder to implement in fixed income with precision, just because how many, CUSIP SISINs have disparate liquidity profiles and how much data needs to be aggregated to get to a certain meaningful percentage so that algo has coverage and that automation on the desk can happen, let's say, beyond 10, 20% of volumes. So I think it's, again, already starting from the data aggregation. I'd say there's a lot of benefit. Let's say, think about best execution, and there's various ways to measure, but let's say distance to mid, post-trade. So where we execute. And I've seen time and time again, like a large portfolio, turning around lots of trades per quarter, just by aggregating data from various sources, building a model that can measure now kind of a, not specific venue or specific vendor, but across, a few basis points in reduction in distance to mid. On a large portfolio, that is a big client value. So I think there's a motivation here, It's not necessarily easy to get there, and you can even generate post-trade report, but not action it pre-trade. So it's kind of becoming a reporting service. I think those two can be balanced. So what's informed from the data becomes a pre-trade execution decision, and it's not kind of automating a large part of my workflow for the sake of it. It's automating so that we achieve best execution for clients. I think that's where probably most of the attention on the buy side decision making lies.